takes months and months and months for them to figure out how to come up with a plan, basically. And I guess it comes down to it is she's frustrated him to every level. She's left. She says she puts it in your mind like, oh, look how he's behaving. He's so different now. He's this and that and this and that. Well, Charles is upset because she just tried to destroy his life. She told him he was out of town when she found out, and he was in another state. And when she flew back home, she took his truck and hid it, took all the keys and took them from him, emptied out his clothes in the house. I mean, tried to destroy his work, his life, everything.
Goodness.
And I was like, hey, do you think that's a bit extreme? Like, are you sure you're supposed to do that? She goes, Melanie, the Spirit's telling me exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, what am I to say, And so, anyway, she tells him, which is stupid. She says, I'm going to destroy you. She's like, you are not Charles anymore. You are Ned. I forgot his last name. Snyder. You're Ned Snyder, and you're not going to, you are, I am, she told him, I think she told him prior to this, but she was translated. She was married to Moroni before.
Oh, my gosh.
Already expelled. So, yeah, she's already telling him this stuff, which is not smart.
Oh, my goodness.
And, yeah, not smart. She should have kept that information to herself. So he gets me to come over to his house. He breaks into the house, and she's picking up the kids. He steals his key. It's a lot of drama in that. But anyway, he says to me, and I thought it was Lori, but he had her cell phone, so he was trying to get me to come over. So I talked to him, so it freaked me out. And I get there, and it's him, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I talked to him, and he's like, Melanie, Lori's crazy. Like, she thinks that I'm this guy named Ned, and that she's trying to destroy my life. And I'm like, I just don't know what to say.
Oh, my goodness.
Just like freaking out. Yeah, because I think my friends are good. She's seen Jesus. I'm really believing that she really saw these things,
Right.
And I'm just gullible as gullible gets. And she stuck on me like Velcro. She was such a good friend to me. You know what I mean? Like, she was close to me.
Right.
And so I just stood there and didn't know what to say to him. And then he hugged me and he was crying. And I was like, I look back now and go, oh, my gosh. Anyway. So basically, she sets it up where he sets it up. He's going to come into town, when he passes away, and they have a shoot down, and he dies, and out of self-defense. But the police officer told me that it was not the guy Alex that shot him, he didn't even really get hit that hard in the head. So, and Alex, bless his heart, who passed away, he just thought he was doing a favor to his sister. He didn't really care so much, about Charles or this or that, but he just thought he was helping her.
Did she ask him to kill him?
Well, to self-defense, yes. Well, they planned it. I mean, so she knew that Charles was coming to town, and then she invited Alex over that night to spend the night to protect her. She said they're going to kill her. She told me they're going to come and try to kill her.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, well, why are they we're going to try to kill you? And she says, well, because I have a $3 million policy on my head, and my brother and my husband and my nephew are all zombies now, and they all want me dead.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, it gets crazy. So anyway, they have the shoot down and everything. And she grabs his phone, and they fight over that. And then Tylee, her daughter, picks up the bat and tries to defend herself or hit him or whatever. She doesn't like him anyway. And she doesn't like anybody. And so, anyway, they shoot him. And so I talked to the police officer. He goes, she was really happy for somebody that just had her husband shot dead. She was like, oh, how are you? Da-da-da. She's real positive and upbeat. And I was like, oh, that's not normal behavior to somebody that gets blown away in your front room.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I mean, that would traumatize me. But anyway, so she's told to move up to Rexburg. The Lord tells her, move up to Rexburg now. She takes Tylee and JJ with her. Tylee and JJ are up there. I know she's up there with both of them because I can hear them on the phone in the background while she's packing and moving in. And then she tells me, I don't know, within a week or two that Tylee is now at BYU. She's up there at school. Huh. So I go up to visit her, and I see that Tylee is not there, and I said, hey, Tylee's, I mentioned again, like, Tylee went to BYU, and she goes, yeah, but she gave me this really creepy look.
Oh.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was like, yes, she's dead, really, and, that kind of look.
Yeah.
Like, almost that kind of look, but then I didn't know what to think about it at the time. I was like, oh, why do I feel creepy when she looks at me like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyway, then she tells me I get there in September 23rd weekend, and JJ's missing. No, JJ's not missing. Sorry, JJ's there, and she tells me he's a zombie now.
Oh my goodness.
And so was Tylee.
Oh no.
And so, yeah, so people that are zombies, they don't end up staying alive. As you probably see the pattern here. And so anyway, so I say, okay. She says, I'm just going to give him back to Kay, the grandmother. And I said, well, that sounds like a good idea. Then you guys can move on with your missions. Just tell her to take Kay. You think she'll take JJ? I mean, he's a lot of work. Do you think she'll take, no, yeah, I'm hoping so. I'll just have to make something up. I said, well, tell her you're sick or something and that you just have some illness and that you're not able to watch after him. So, she said, hey, he's a handful. And so, and plus it's not her kid anyway, right? And so.
It's not her kid because she adopted him, right?
Right, she adopted him from Kay's family.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh.
As a baby. She had him as a baby. Yeah, he was a drug baby, and so they adopted him as a baby. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she was a really good mom to him. She was. She was really patient with him and very loving. I saw her. She's very loving to him.
Wow.
And, yeah, she was, hands down, she was a great mom, very patient with that kid.
Wow.
And so, anyway, so she told me, she's like, yeah, JJ is at Grandma's house. Yeah, she went. So after I left, and I saw JJ right before I left, and she said within a week or so, that he had gone to Kay's house, and that, that's where he was. So then Tammy dies, and then she's in Hawaii when it happens, and I call her in Hawaii, and I say, hey, guess what? Tammy just died. Do you know this? And she goes, no, I haven't heard it yet. And
oh my goodness.
And I said, well, what happened? What happened to Tammy? And she goes, well, she was a zombie 2 weeks before she died. And I was like, really? She goes, yeah, she was starting to question our relationship. She was wondering if he was having an affair. I said, oh. And so, and I said, well, how did she die? She goes, well, we just had to do what we could to take her out of her spirit. Something like that. Uh-huh. And I was like, okay. I'm thinking she said a prayer and her spirit went home. That's what I'm thinking, right? And so, like, maybe she did some kind of, like, blessing or something, like people can do that, I guess. I don't know. And so anyway, then this is where it all changes for me. This was hard. You're going to just try not to react.
Okay. Okay, no, it's okay.
Put your seatbelt on.
Okay.
And so then I get a call from Chad 2 days before Thanksgiving. Hey, Melanie, Rexburg Police is going to call you. Don't answer. And I went, what? And my stomach just dropped,
Oh, man.
And I said, what happened? Well, the police are over at Lori's house, and they're looking for JJ. And she told them that JJ was with you. And I went, what?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, well, I thought JJ was at Grandma's house. He's not there, is he? And he's like, no, he's not. I'm like, what? And I don't know. Honestly, I did not know what to think at this time. I was so shocked. And just like my whole spirit was like, what happened? I was freaking out inside. And then I get a phone call from the police. Of course, I ignore it. And then Lori calls me, and she's like, oh, no, everything's fine. I just told the police with you and that you're going to take them down to Arizona. And I'm like, why? Like, what happened? And she's like, well, JJ was, we thought that JJ was going to get kidnapped by Kay, and so we're protecting him, and which is a lie, and which I believe is a lie, personally.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, I got to go. And I just didn't know what to say. I was just so dumbfounded by it all. And anyway, so I go down to Arizona, and her brother's down there, just down the street from me, because he's marrying my friend who's in my ward. Her name's Sulema. And so I said, hey, are you around? And so anyway, I said, hey, let's meet. We need to talk. So I said, hey, Alex, I said, do I want to know what happened to JJ? And he says, no, you don't want to know. I went, what?
Oh, my goodness.
And she goes, I told Lori she should have never got you involved in this. I'm like, yeah, she should have never got me involved. That was not smart. And And then he said, yeah, the police ransacked my house, took my guns. And I'm like, I wonder why they did that. I couldn't figure that out at the time. And I just figured, they kept telling me that, they had a lot of bad people working for them, that now the cops are zombies, that kind of stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, anyway, I'm starting to get, like, really creepy feelings. And then, so anyway, one of my friends, he was with me. He goes home, and he calls me up, and I'm like, he's like, Melanie, I'm really worried about your testimony. I'm like, what? Why are you worried about my testimony? And I'm like, okay, I need you to be a friend. Let's talk. I said, okay, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the zombie thing. What do you think? And he knew what was going on and stuff. And I said, I don't have a testimony of it. Like, I'm not sure what to think about all this stuff. And he goes, oh my gosh, me too. He goes, I just never have a testimony of Chad and Lori. And so all of a sudden, this heaviness that was on him was leaving him. Just the heaviness of he'd been trying to pray about if they were really who they were.
Yeah.
And he was not getting an answer about it. And anyway, the heaviness leaves him. And it's David Warwick. You know who he is, right?
I don't.
He was the guy that was speaking at Dreams and Visions when you were watching. Didn't you watch the recording?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that was speaking, the guy with the brown hair.
Okay.
And he was speaking about his visions. Anyway,
yeah.
Him and I are dating. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's such a sweetheart.
Oh, good.
You'd really like him. But anyway, he's been questioning all of this because he's really had amazing visions, and he's like, this is really not comfortable for me, Melanie. Like, this is really jacked up. And anyway, we talked till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I was like coming to Jesus, and I was feeling the stomach, that deep pit stomach feeling you get when things are wrong.
Yep.
I was feeling it, gut instinct was going, something's wrong. So I call Sulema, and I'm like, hey, Sulema, like, what did Alex say? I'm getting a bad feeling. I'm not sure what to think about this. And she goes, well, I don't. She just told me what her testimony was of Chad and how he gave her a blessing, made her also part of the 144,000, and said she was translated too, and then said she basically started having visions after this. Okay.
Yeah.
So she had a testimony of Chad that he was a real visionary, so I said, well, what did Alex tell you? What happened? And she said, well, all he said to me was, you don't want to know. No. He said, they won't be able to be found. He won't be able to be found.
Oh,
I'm like,
goodness.
that? I said, you know what? I'm not really feeling good about this, Selena. And she had just married him. And because, that Chad and Laura were like, get married, hurry, you're part of the 145,000, you need to get married. My brother Alex, you need to marry him. And so they got married quickly. And so, anyway, it was not good. And so I said, I'm going to have to call the police. Like, I'm feeling really bad about this,
Right.
And my gut is screaming at me, and I don't think Heavenly Father's, pleased with me right now.
Right.
I feel it,
Right.
And so, anyway, so I go fly up to see David because now I'm starting to feel insecure about how safety I'm feeling at the time, because I know he's up the street, Alex is, and I'm starting to feel uncomfortable with the idea of now I'm going to report him to the police and he can go to jail.
Right.
And so I just leave town and go up to Dave, and Dave just ministers to me like the whole week. I mean, he is there for me. And I am like heavy with energy, super heavy. And I tell the police, I said, I'd like to talk to you. And he goes, well, when you get back to town, I'd like to talk to you. And so called up the Rexford police. Okay, so I got to back up. I was speaking a whole bunch. So I called them, and then they said they'd talk to me later when I got back in town in Gilbert. So I decided to call Lori and Chad, and I recorded it. And I said, hey, why did you tell the Rexford police that JJ was me when he was not with me? And she says, well, I just did that for your safety. I didn't want you to know where he was so that you would be safe. And, because, the situation's really uncomfortable, and that, we're trying to take JJ and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, you told me he was going to Kay's house. And well, we did that for your safety. And I said, you know what? I believe that you and Chad are being deceived. And I said, you're a core whore.
Exactly.
And they said, well, you call me a core whore? And I said, yeah, this is like a core whore. And I said, this is like a core whore. And, carnal desires. That's why I did it, is because of the carnal desires. And I said, she goes, you saying I did this because of carnal desires? I said, yes, you and me know both, hun, that you are very carnal. Because she has a very high libido. So I knew she's carnal.
Oh, boy.
And, yeah. And so, and I said, the scriptures say that the Lord said in Doctrine and Covenants section 3 that if you would have followed him, he would have protected you against all the fiery darts. I said, if you guys would have been obedient, you would have been protected from all the fiery darts. The Lord does not work in darkness.
Exactly.
I said, the Lord would have had your back. And I said, well, no. And she's like, well, she compared herself to Ether that hid in a rock, Alma that fled, and Moroni at the end of his life fled. She compared herself to them.
Oh, brother.
I said, okay. I said, they were prophets. And she's like, exactly. I'm like, oh, boy. And she was not happy with it. I said, you are wresting the scriptures. I read the scriptures. You think I'm wresting them? I said, you are wresting them. You know what that means, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, and you are. That's what you're doing. And I said, I am concerned. She goes, you know how much I love you. And I said, I am concerned for your soul and your salvation.
Amen.
Yeah, and I did not hold back. It was like a 20-minute conversation.
Wow.
I recorded it and I sent it to the police. And I was like, you just know for my record, I didn't have the kid. You know what I mean? But
right.
And but her goal is that she thought that the big earthquake was going to happen every month last year.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was told by Moroni that it was going to happen, and so therefore it didn't matter what happened to anybody or everything, because life was just going to change. It's going to be fine.
Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm. And so anyway, so the police, I've talked to them, and they're basically, Chad is like texting people and calling people still.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they can track him and stuff. So they just a matter of getting evidence on him, I guess, now. But
good.
Yeah, and so I hope that I don't have to go and testify. I'm hoping that won't happen. I love you, sweetheart. Have fun. Make some good. I hope it goes well for you, babe. Okay, so I started really thinking about how this was affecting many people. Julie Rowe got really out of control.
Yep.
And then he didn't even like her at the end. He was like, didn't like her. So anyway, she's now put a podcast out about him and Lori. And it's most disgusting.
Oh,
it is disgusting.
No.
She's angry. She even says she's angry on it. And she not only says he's angry, she's like, no, Chad and me are friends. We've been friends for a long time. And I know that my angels have told me that the kids are safe and they're playing on the beach and everything's fine.
Oh, my gosh.
She's not going to look good when they show up dead. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. She's out of control. Her aura was dark.
Oh.
And I was like this. And I was like this. My stupid. Anyway, so we're like a prideful group of preppers. You know that?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We're so prideful. Like we think, well, if everybody doesn't know what we know, then they're asleep. And they're just look at them. And so we just judge.
Right.
And I'm like, that doesn't sound like very Christ-like.
Uh-uh.
And I've been in touch with Melanie, her niece, that got involved, and I've been trying to call her and help her, and she's just really jacked up. Like, she lost her kids, she got divorced, and she's up in Rexburg alone. Everybody else abandoned her. I mean, it was so sad. Yeah, it's so sad.